Hey everyone, we are starting our question and answer series for 2025. This is our very first one, and we're going to get this out if we can before the end of January. We've been pretty busy with all the other things going on, but this is our goal to get this done. So we got some pretty cool things coming up here. Hello everybody, welcome to Tigner Adventures. This is David, and I am going to be talking today about RV Life's product called Trip Wizard. It's what we use to plan all of our trips, and we've been using this product for the last 6 years. So starting this month, this is January 2025, we are now doing a question and answer each month from questions and things that we have received at the tent that we did this big RV show in Quartzsite, Arizona. We had lots of questions, so we're going to highlight some of those here. So we have broken this whole video up into chapters, and so that's one of the nice things about YouTube. It lets us break them up into chapters, and you can see the chapters within our more section, our description and everything. If you go down in there, you see all the timestamps that we have placed on different pieces of it. You can jump directly to the area that you want, or if you look right here on YouTube, you can see that it's highlighted across on this particular video. It's highlighted across the video, so you can just jump to the sections that you want. And then, you know, some of you might think either I'm talking too fast or talking too slow, and you can go here within your YouTube viewer, click on settings, and you can change the speed that you watch this videos. Anyway, we're here to accommodate you, and I want to get to as many questions as I can each month, and you know, it's all up to you how you want to do it. And before we go any further, let me just mention this. We are not sponsored by RV Life. We are not receiving anything from them for doing this video, all right? We are doing this video because we love Trip Wizard and use it for all of our trip planning things that we do, all of our trips that we made. We've been using it for the last 6 years. So but we are affiliates of them. If you are not a member already, you know, I mean, if you don't have a subscription with them and you're interested in doing that, we ask you to use our code. We have it in the comments, or in the comment section below, or the description area is a link. Plus you can also just click right here on this, or scan this code, and you can save 25%. So why wouldn't you? But other than that, that's the only piece we're getting. We're not getting paid to do the video. We are doing this to help you guys, hopefully, and hopefully you guys are going to participate with us and give us some suggestions on things, or whatever the case may be. We are open to those emails, and we have learned so much at the shows that we have been participating in, just by meeting you guys and seeing how you're using the products and things like that. Because the way I do it is my way. It's not necessarily your way, and it's for sure not the only way. So anyway, the very first one is that if you look here on this screen, I have created a trip. We are currently in Quartzsite, Arizona, and we're staying at a La Posa long-term camping area out here in the middle of nothing. There is nobody around us really that I can see. So if you're up by the road, then it's really crowded, but out here there's nobody. And so we're out here with our friends just hanging out, and we're going to leave here and head to our daughter's place in she lives up in Lake Point area here, and so we're going to be heading up there to see her because she just had our very first grandchild. So we want to go up there and see this new grandchild, and so we have plotted out this course right here. Well, I'm going to use this map as the example of how to answer some of these questions that you guys brought up. So the very first one, people say, you know, I've seen demos and things where they show this little driving radius, or whatever you want to call it, on the screen, and how do you set that up on your map? So I'm going to show you. There's actually two things that you need to do. The first one is, if you click over here on the trip tools right here, this little wrench right up here, if you click on that, then you come down here and it says trip settings. So if I go into trip settings, I need to go in there and I need to go into routing and driving. So you see here, I'm in routing and driving. I have lots of filters I can set, right? But down here it says my average driving speed is 50 miles per hour. So that's an important thing to know. And you can set that to anything that you want. The other thing is my driving radius. So driving radius is the piece that is that you're seeing on the different screens and examples and things. And so we're going to show that here on the map. There's actually two different types of driving radius. There's the one that is the classic circle, like how the crow flies. So most RVs don't fly. So I usually don't like to use that because it's just a big circle. And depending on the road you're on, you know, it's very difficult to judge how far you have gone and things. So with that in mind, I usually do the advanced driving radius. So I'm going to show you, we can turn that on here, or we can turn that on in another spot under our map settings. So I'm going to show you that area there because we can kind of turn it on and off as we need without going into these trip tools. But down here at the bottom, we choose how we want that to work. And typically we say an average hours per day. So we usually say that we're going to travel 3 hours a day. And whoops, clicked on the next thing down. So 3 hours a day. And then so that's one way of measuring this, is it's going to draw a single line around that says, based on the advanced radius, you know, which roads we take, we can get to this area in about 3 hours. The second option that we have is to set distance, and in the distance setting we actually have three things that we can set here. So a minimum, middle, and maximum. And in this particular case, they've just defaulted these to 75, 125, and 200 miles. Now, if that's how you like to travel, like you say, well, I usually like to go about 200 miles, but you know, maybe sometimes 125 or whatever, that's how you would set it here. So once you set these different defaults in here and go ahead and save this, then I have not, I just want to point out here, I have not set the driving radius here yet because I wanted to show you in this other area. But if I did set it there and save it, then it would show up right away. But right now all we're doing is just setting the defaults that we're going to use for this particular thing. So you'll see over here on my map, so far nothing is on the screen or anything, so no problem. So now if you notice here on the map too, I've got this little tent that's jumping up and down here, and if we look over here to the left, that is green. And so you need to understand that too, because that's your default as to kind of where this is starting. But if I go up here to the to the top area here, and it looks like, whoops, I kind of expanded that page out the wrong way. So okay, so that's what it normally looks like. Up here at the top I have map settings, and when I click on map settings, the second item down here says driving radius. So if I click on driving radius, you'll see here I have those options that I had under the set defaults. I have the advanced radius and classic circles. So if I turn that on, then now it's defaulted to that, and I go ahead and you'll notice that in this particular case we had the mileage turned on. So if I zoom in here a little bit, you'll see that that area, which was Lake Point, has this green line here that's saying, if I remember correctly, that was 75 miles. This is how far we can drive on the road to get to 75 miles. The yellow one is I think it was 100 or 125, and then the red one was 200. So that's how the mileage piece of it works. And again, I said I like to do the hours instead, so I'm going to go back over here and switch this back over to hours. And so again, back to the trip tools, routing and driving. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to select this average hours per day, and we said 3 hours again, remember it's down there. And our hours are based on our driving speed, which is 50 miles per hour. Now that's how many hours we average, or how many miles we average in an hour. That's based on our pace. Your pace could be whatever, okay? So whatever that hour is going to take you, then that's what it's going to use to calculate out these 3 hours. So you'll notice that here is the diagram based on 3 hours. It's just a single line because it's just based on hours. Now let me show you, if you kind of just make a mental note there about where those are, that's how far we can drive in about 3 hours. Now if I choose, go back up here to map settings, and I go to the driving radius and I turn on the classic radius, you'll notice that that circle in a lot of places is a lot bigger than what we really could drive. So that's what they used to have very first, and there's a lot of people that like that, so that's fine. But that's why they still have it in there. But the advanced radius that is drawn, where it's all squiggly and everything, gives you a much more accurate place of, you know, where you're going to be and everything. So I'm going to turn that back, switch that back around, because I don't like using the circle. And so there we are. Now, what is this good for? So this is good for basically figuring out how far you're going for that day, all right? And at that particular point, like this, if you notice this red line going down through here, this is the direction of travel. So this is saying that from that point where our little tent is popping up and down right now, to this point right down here on this freeway, which is I-15, so on that freeway, this is how far we can get within 3 hours, all right? So what I usually do is I turn on this little tent thing over here, and that turns in all of our campgrounds things. So at that point, I can choose a place that I'm going to stay. Okay, so that's one thing. All right, so that's how the driving radius works. You can turn it on, off. That's how you manage it. Okay, so that's important. You got to know how to manage it before you actually use it. So now you know. So that's how that works. Now, something that I wanted to, that kind of goes hand in hand with this, that you guys were asking, was, you know, how do you determine which ones of these little camp things are being shown on the screen here? I mean, you know, that's a pretty important question. And if you can't get into certain ones of these, for example, KOAs or whatever, you know, you don't have a membership to 1,000 Trails, for example, or you're not a military person, then how do I tell it which ones I want to have here and which ones I don't? So that leads us into our next question, and that is, how do we update that information? So again, we're going to go back to Trip Tools. So you notice over here on the left, so we're going back to Trip Tools, and the second entry down now is Display Pin Preferences. So if I select Pin Preferences, this used to be managed in other places, and now it's just all done right here. And the thing that you need to understand is whatever you set here, it just tells you there. You know, it's updated for all your trips. So this is used everywhere. It's globally, and you know, it used to be that you could set your defaults, and then that's what it is. This is basically the same thing. You're setting this as your defaults, and then everything follows this. So you don't have to go all over the place to set it. It's just all done right here. And what this is saying is these are the areas that I prefer to stay. In the case of the common preferred campgrounds, these are places I want to stay. And down here below that is all campgrounds. So this is all the campgrounds that I'm interested in staying at. Now this is important because if they're not listed here, they're not going to show up. Okay, so if I'm interested in, you know, whatever these parks are, you know, especially this one right here, Corps of Engineers Campgrounds. A lot of people ask me that. Well, how do I find those? Well, if you turn this on, then they'll show up when you click on the map. And so you have all these different entries here. And so if you notice here, like I didn't have FMCA. I'm not an FMCA member. Okay, we belong to Escapees, and so that's the one we have chose to stay with because of whatever reasons, but that's the one we're in. So I don't need FMCA. But I also am not a military person, unfortunately. Didn't have that opportunity to serve, so I can't stay in military family campgrounds. Okay, so I take that off because there's just no way I can stay there, right? So why show it? So then the other thing to note is that if I'm looking down through here and I get down here, 1,000 Trails. I used to turn this off, but I found out that you don't have to have a Thousand Trails membership, and so maybe some of these other ones are that way too, I don't know, but you can call the campground direct and book with that particular place if they happen to have an opening. They're glad to take your money, so you don't have to actually have a membership to be able to stay there. And so what I've done is most of these I've highlighted, because when I'm creating my map and looking at places, I wanted the opportunity to decide, do I want to stay at 1,000 Trails or do I not want to stay at 1,000 Trails? I don't have a membership, but I could still stay there and pay, you know, the fee for a nightly rate if I wanted to. And so that's why those are on there. I did one time go through here and pretty much delete all those off there, set for 2 or 3 campgrounds. And so what happens is once you select this and you got that all set up, you go to the sort order. You can look at how you want everything sorted out and save that. And so that's all done. And what I did was I actually limited myself, okay, so that when I'm out here like this, this is the problem I ran into by doing that. And that's the reason I leave most of them on now, is that if you notice this, I have all kinds of, I turn that on and all of these little green things have shown up everywhere. That's cool. But as I started drilling in here, you can see that they start, all these different things populate here. Well, if I don't have KOA turned on, and I don't have, you know, state parks turned on, and I don't have 1,000 Trails turned on, all of those, as I'm drilling in here, all those little green dots start disappearing, and pretty soon I get drilled in and there's nothing there because I eliminated everything. Okay, so, you know, filters are good, but sometimes you can get carried away and cause yourself a little bit of a problem. So anyway, so that's why I see them all. They are highlighted there. You know, I can decide which ones I want and which ones I don't. But that's how you turn it on and how you turn them off. So if you really don't want certain ones, for example, the military camps, it doesn't mean no good to have those on there because I can't stay there. There's probably some other things out there that's that way, and I've just, you know, I haven't worried about it. But that's how you turn them on, and then how you actually manage those campground sites. Now, with that said, one thing that you need to understand is that RV life, the things that are in here, the majority of them in here are commercial in nature. Somewhere you pay to stay there. Okay, they're not typically dispersed camping areas. Now I say they're not typically because they do have a number of dispersed camping things in here, and they do have a lot of areas in here that don't require you to pay to stay at. So it's really kind of, you know, hit and miss as to how that works. But in that particular case, we're going to go into our next little piece there, and that is we can add custom stops. So if something's not listed here, but I use some other program, for example, like The Dirt or freecampsites.net or Campanium, if that works for you, certain, you know, there's all these other things out there that you can look at. Or how about your friend said, you know what, I found this really cool place. It used to be that we could, you know, send those really cool places off to Campanium and they'd get added, but that went away when Campanium got purchased. So we can't do that anymore. But hey, I can share my information with my friend. I can share it on Facebook. I mean, there's lots of places you can find these different things. And, you know, us full-timers have to take care of all the full-timers. And so if you find out this, especially from locals, if they start sharing some stuff and you can say, I stayed in this really cool place and it was really neat, and they tell you the GPS coordinates or the address, you can come in here and add a custom stop, all right? So that goes along with this. I mean, just because I have those pins there doesn't restrict me to just that. So I can now say right here where my hand is on the screen, I want to add a custom stop, and I can drill in here to whatever I need to. So if I say, well, it's right here on this road is this really cool place that I want to stay, I can actually right click. And if you're on a touch tablet, touch screen, your phone, whatever, then you can just push down right there and hold, and it should come up with this little menu. Here's my options: create custom stop, among other things that I can do here. So create custom stop, when I add that and I say, okay, well, I want to create this custom stop. It says it's near Milford, Utah, but I can go in here and just say exciting area. Oh, I can't spell. Exciting area. You know, when you're on camera, you can't spell. Anyway, I'm going to stay there probably one night. I'm just going to stay there overnight. And where do I want to put it? Well, in this particular case, the last stop is after, oh, it's going the wrong direction here. So we're just going to, I'll kind of show you this other piece. So I can put it after the last stop, or I can put it after a specific entry here. So let me just say last stop, because I want to show you how powerful this mapping thing is. So let me just say last stop, and I'm going to save that custom stop. So now it's directed my route right there. You can see it. Okay, that's my own spot that I picked. Over here on the left, it's showing that I'm going from Quartzsite to Lake Point and then out back over to here. So I'm kind of duplicating my trip, but I can just grab this over here. These little dots mean that I can move that. So I'm just going to grab that, put it there, and then it maps that line back out again. And now you can see that if I actually just say show entire trip, let's just turn that on and turn all these off here. You can see, you know, that's where my campsite is. All right. So I'm staying here, and then I'm staying there. Now, a little trick that I just showed you there, you can turn this on. This is why this is so nice, is to be able to toggle these on and off at will as I need it. Same way with this driving radius. You know, I don't necessarily, especially when I get my things done, I don't want that on all the time. So I just come up here and turn that off, and then now I have a nice clean looking map. So that works out pretty good, and that's so that's now two things that we've covered and we've shown you to give you an idea what's going on. So anyway, the next thing I wanted to show you was that as I make changes on my computer, all the things done with TripWizard are done on a web browser. Okay, so in this case on my computer I'm running Google, and that shows up, you know, that's my web browser. I can also do that on a tablet or actually on my phone. Okay, so but I have to do it through a web browser. So all the changes to the map have to be done through the web browser. But as I make those changes, if I switch over to the phone here, that all of my trips that were on, you know, my computer are on here. So here's my demo trip right there. When I click on it, there's my stops right there. So it's pretty cool how, you know, whatever you do there automatically shows here. They're both looking at the same thing, and this one's saying, you know, they're suggesting I download my map. So I can download the maps of the areas that I'm covering here on this trip. I can download those maps ahead of time, so that no matter what, this is my GPS, this is how I'm going to navigate to my stops, and it's all recorded right here. I don't have to have cell service. Once I get all this done and I've downloaded all my maps and everything, when I'm ready to go somewhere, I don't have to be in an area that has cell service because the maps are downloaded. Okay, and the other cool thing about that is if I decide to do some day trips and I'm just going to use this as a standard GPS only, I can still do that. I don't need cell service to generate little day trips out and about, you know, just like a regular GPS where you'd say, okay, here I am and this is where I'm going. It does it right here. The maps are downloaded. It just does it for you. So that's pretty cool. And if you didn't catch that little GPS thing, that's this other little tab over here that says GPS. When you click on that, then that's just a standard GPS at that point. Okay, so on the phone, I'm logged in here. I want to just go to the planner. And so this is loading up the planner just like it was on my laptop. So if I look over here to the laptop, and I was going to open trips, same here, I got 3 trips. You see that the trips there and the trips here are identical. And so I'm going to, in this case, it's currently open on the laptop, but I'm going to open that up here on the phone, and you could do this same way on a tablet. I just don't have a tablet here right now. The difference, the way this works on the phone or the tablet, is you have these different tabs down at the bottom. They're not on the side. Like here, you have research on the computer right here. You have elevation, but on here, the phone, it's on the bottom. So if I select map, then that shows me my map. So this is how I see my map, just like what I did on the computer. So a lot of people ask me, how do I change my map within the app? And you don't change the app within, or the map within the app. It's done within a web browser. So it's back to the same idea here. Everything's done in the browser, but it's right here. So you just jump in here, there's your map, here's all your trip details. I can add different stops. So that was a custom stop up there. If I decide I want to add a custom stop right here, this is where I was saying, you just hold that down, yeah, and see how it popped up here and says create a custom stop. So same idea that you had on, with the mouse. So I'm just gonna say stop 2, and so that's done. And I'm gonna stay one night again. You don't have to fill in this night if you don't want to. In this particular case, I'm gonna click last stop, and I'm gonna say that I want to stay there after, well, I'm kind of going backwards on here, so I was creating the trip backwards, so that's what's probably confusing everything here. So I'm just going to say after La Posa, and I'm going to save that, and now it's put it onto there. Now let's go back over to the screen here on my laptop and go ahead and refresh my screen, and it reloads the trip, and you'll see that I now have my stop number 2 in there. So as I'm coming from La Posa, my map is saying I'm starting here, and I kind of went the opposite direction with that little squiggly marks, but some people call that an amoeba, some call it a cloud, so whatever you call that, it's the driving radiuses. I was going from Ochre Mountain back this way, so I've kind of been going both ways, but you can see that here is a quartzsite. My first stop is this stop number 2. You can see the highlighted red line there. That's where I'm going. The next place I'm going is this exciting area, and the next place I'm going is to there. So we've got it all in there. It's exactly how it is within the on my phone. Okay, now I put that on here, and so there's my map and there's my trip, so I see it all there and everything. Now, one of the things that I get a lot of questions about is that if I bring this up here, this is my normal trips, this is the app I'm working in, and I decide I want to make a change today and I want to do it on my phone, I don't want to have to go out to Safari on the Apple or Google or whatever on Android and type all that stuff in. So how can I share that to my desktop? All right, so now on the Google, on the Android, I should say, and I'm the worst person trying to tell any Android person how Android works because I get lost every time, but one of the individuals that stopped by our booth said, oh, well, the way you do that is there's 3 dots on the right hand side on your Android above your website, and if you click on that, it says, save it to your desktop. So you save your trip, your editing, to the desktop, and then you just click on the desktop to do that. So we're going to do it here on the on this phone too. Okay, so we're going to do it on this is the Apple, and so if I go back here on the Apple, down here at the bottom, I've got my map back up here, and it doesn't matter in my trip map, whatever, but in the very bottom here you can see that there's this little box with an up arrow. So this is how you do it on Apple. You click on that, and then you scroll down here, and you'll see, you scroll down to the bottom of what you want to share, and it says add to favorites, add to reading list, add bookmark, add to favorites, add to home screen. So this is what we want to add. So we're going to add that to the home screen. It's RV Trip Wizard. I'm just going to say editing, and I'm going to add that. Okay, so that's now put this thing right here, so that on this phone I can just click right there and it automatically takes me to my trip. So I can see my trip, I can open it, it opens it up. It had it open, so it just redid it here, but anyway, there you go, just like that. So now I'm in here, and when I come over here, this is my trips over here in my app. So if I'm using the app for navigating and everything, then it's all right here. And this is, if I go up here, then this is the map. So this is where I change it all touchscreen. Anyway, that's how that works. So that's how you would add that to your deal and edit your trips if you want to on your touchscreen devices. So you do not do that with the app. The app is meant to be, it's your GPS. It turns your phone or your tablet into a GPS based on whether you have a SIM card in your tablet. Turns it into a GPS, and that's what the app is made for, okay? So if you want to edit anything, that's how you would actually edit it. Next thing I wanted to show you on the phone. So if I'm on my phone and I'm going to go back out here to my maps, this change is on a touch screen. So either your phone or your tablet. I guess if they do have laptops that are touchscreen also. I'm just used to working with a trackpad and a mouse, so that's how I do all my things. It's done differently on a laptop. You look right here, you can see that we have these research tabs on the side, your trip, your elevation. It's little tabs on the side that you can click on, okay? But here on the phone or your tablet, doesn't matter which one, they both look the same. You have the trips, the maps, the research, and account information right here along the bottom, but you don't have elevation, okay? And so people go, well, how do I find my elevation? Well, the way you do it is you go up here to your map settings, so this big red thing up here at the top, and you click on that. And this is where you set your driving radius and everything, just like we did on the laptop when I was demonstrating that. But this is all on the screen right here. I can turn on drag route. That's another option there. I can show the campgrounds, POIs, and all that stuff right there. And if I go way down here to the bottom, and the bad thing about this is it's right there. Do you see it? But it keeps popping down. So if you, so what you have to do is if you turn the phone sideways and then do that, so go map settings and go sideways, then you can get to it. So you can see it there. Now I can go ahead and turn on elevation. If I turn it back to portrait mode, then my elevation's up here at the top. And the cool thing about that is if I go back over here to my map, and if I put my finger onto that elevation screen right there and start moving along, then you see it right on the map going right up there. So I can look at that elevation. So I can kind of see what's going on based on the area that I'm in, okay? It's not real-time elevation. It's not like I'm driving on my GPS. The elevation thing does not show up here. Like if I say navigate, we don't want it, we're already here. So let me get back out of that. Keep all you, okay. So let me cancel that. Whoops. So if I'm in my trip, I'm at La Posa right now, and I'm going to navigate to this, all right, then it gives you this little warning here. I'm just going to say, yeah, I understand. And it comes up here. It does not show, I'm going to agree to that. It doesn't show me my elevation here, okay? That would be kind of nice, but it doesn't show that, and so I don't have that option there. But, but here's my trip, and I'm ready to get going here. So just going to take off.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. So there we go. So let's see, if I go into turn by turns, you can see that each individual turn is highlighted there. If I go into this navigation settings, you can see that I can change the voice and things like that. I can turn speed limit notification on and off. So I have a few things to do there. If you're traveling, if you're a metric person, you can turn the metric on, have it all done in metric instead of imperial. So all that's in there too. So anyway, all right, so that's how that works. As far as that's what this is for. The phone is a GPS. So one other question I have here that I was asked a couple different times, actually, it was kind of interesting, is you heard when it talked to you. Well, it's sometimes, and I don't know if this is just on the Apple phone or if this is on an Android also. However, on the Apple phone, sometimes that voice goes away. So how do I get it back? What is going on? And you go into this, setting here, navigation settings. You see the voice navigation. It says it's on and the volume is loud, so it should be working. Well, according to the app, everything is fine, and that's how it should be. But Apple specifically, that's the one I have experience with, settings manage how all that stuff works. So that's separate from the apps. It's a little different in that situation. Now, I know this because my mom tends to have this problem all the time. I don't know how she gets her volume turned down, but basically what happens is that when you use the little knobs on the side here, this is your volume control. If you do up and down, all right, then that is your volume control. On the side here, you're changing your volume, but the volume that is really changing there is your ringer volume. So it kind of, you don't realize that you go, oh, I need to turn up my volume. Well, over here, I'm doing this and I can have this on full blown and it doesn't work. If you happen to have the situation where you can't hear that, then there's something with the Apple iPhone where on the side here is your volume control, but when you go to do that, it's only working as far as the ringer goes, and you can't change that. So what you want to do is you want to go into settings and come down here to sounds and habitats, and then you can change the volume here. Now in this case this is ringer, but yours may have an option there, so it kind of depends on what version of the iPhone you're on. This is the new 16 Pro, so it's working different than the ones that individuals that were at the show. Theirs had a thing here where you could actually set the volume, and theirs was all the way turned down. Now my mom has that problem all the time. Somehow she gets hers turned down, and the ringer and that is separate. But on this particular, on the 16 Pro, that's not a problem. So, but anyway, this is where you would actually fix this, and then when you go back over to here, then your volume would work. So since I don't have that older phone, I don't have a way to demonstrate it, so I'm just kind of telling you that if you have that issue, it's in the settings that you need to fix it. It has nothing to do with RV Life, okay? So nothing to do with them, and it's just based on the actual iPhone, and it may only be an iPhone issue because now the 16 Pro seems to be working really good and works correct. So anyway, now I also had a number of questions several times, and when we were doing a presentation at the RTR in Quartzsite and at the Big Tent. So I've had several presentations I've done in the last week or so, and everyone seems to always want to know, how do I get real-time weather? Well, on the app, so what you have right here, this doesn't do that. And when it's navigating down the road, it's just navigating down the road. So where do you go to find that? Well, if you click on map settings, down at the bottom says weather layers, and there's 3 different weather layers here that you can look at that are, and these are accurate. This is what's happening right now. Okay, so kind of a weird deal that it's here and not in the navigation, because typically we're planning the trip way out. So, but this is showing what radar is right now. So if I turn that on and I go ahead and exit out of here, you can see over here on the right hand side, so towards the east, there is some rain and snow going on. Okay, but I can look at this the day that I'm going to travel or the day before, whatever, get some ideas what's going on. So it's there. It's a new thing they're putting in there. The other thing that's pretty cool too, that they have, is the wind speed. So if I look here, I can actually see all the wind speeds. So these weather layers are a nice thing to kind of look at the day that you're going to travel, or the night before you travel, and things, just kind of get an idea what's going on. One other one there is your wildfires. Now, unfortunately, we have to deal with this more. Whoops, I got to zoom in here, it says. So let's just zoom in here. We got to deal with this more in the west than we ever did in the east. Let's go over here. We know there's a lot of fires out here in California for some reason. They have all that going on right now. But anyway, if I turn that on, then, and let's go ahead and close this, then it brings up all the different fires that's going on. So if you are in an area that you're trying to get through, then at least you can pull this up ahead of time and look at it and everything. And if you do that on your phone, so let's just switch back over here to the phone. I'm going to bring up the, this was on my home screen, so I brought it up, so it's right there. The way this one works, if I hit map settings, right, then here's my weather layers. Then I can go on down through here, and now I've got my weather on, so you can see I'm seeing it right here. So as you're driving down the road, your partner can always pull it up and kind of see where everything's at. So there is that. I mean, they have things in there. You can get to it on your phone or your tablet as you're driving, so it does track that. So it doesn't do everything, and I always tell everybody, I always feel like this is the cream of the crop when it comes to trip planning software. The mapping piece of it, the way it works, the way you can drag and drop, change reservations, whatever the case may be, is so much easier with this application than anything out there, because, and with that in mind, it also is all based on RV safe routing. So because of that, this is the preferred routing or trip planning software that I use. I have tried all these other ones, and some of them work really close to this. RV Parky is pretty close to this as far as the way that the stops work and everywhere. Nobody else is. I mean, everybody else is all based on, you got to put a date in there, and if you try to move things around, then you got to go edit each individual entry. You don't have to do that on this. And this one, nobody else does RV safe routing when it comes to these features that you have. And so so maybe RV Parky does the drag and drop thing. That works pretty good, but they don't have RV safe routing. So it's not, no one person does everything, and these guys are the best at this, and that's why we chose them. So anyway, I'm hoping that what we have here and what we have shown you is of value to you today. I know it's a long video, but hopefully that's some good information to you. Hopefully you used my information at the front as far as navigating and make it better for you as far as getting to the things that you want to see. Remember, we need your input. We need to know if you have certain things you're having issues with. Either send us an email or make comments in the description here in the comment area of this video, and we will work on getting those out for next month. We are doing this every month, question answer every month. That's all on Trip Wizard to help individuals out. We learn a lot when we're at the shows that we do presentations at and things, and so the more that we share information, the more we are able to make this even a better product. Now, if you do have certain situations come up or certain questions and things like that, I'm not support, okay? I will do my best to find, to tell you how things work and stuff, but if I don't know, then I'm going to refer you to support, because the company has excellent support, and that's support@rvlife.com. You can send them a message, and they will go through and come up with the fixes for it or things like that. Make sure that you're always running the most up-to-date app on your phone. The web browser, when you go into that'll automatically prompt you to refresh. So it'll say, hey, there's some new exciting features coming in here, so refresh this and let's check them out. So anyway, but you need to, on the phone, it's a more of a, you got to go in there and select it. So anyway, do those things, stay up to date, get a hold of support. They're really good at getting back to you, and when they do, then you can start negotiating with them as far as finding the answers and things like that. So but anyway, it works out good. So thanks for coming along. Hopefully you'll be participating, and we'll leave it at that at this point, and we'll just hope to catch you down the road somewhere or on our next video. So you guys all take care. Bye.